And we are live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream here on the Film Stock channel. It is Wednesday, March 20th, and it's a little later than usual, but we are here at 9 p.m. Eastern for a little live Q&A/Hangout. But I'm not doing this alone. I've got a very special guest, longtime friend here on the channel, Brandon, aka the BrandoCritic, joining me. Brandon, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. We were just talking on camera. That's been too long. So thank you so much for being with me and inviting me onto your stream. It's always, I try to catch him once in a while if I'm just driving home from work or anything like that. And yeah, I've always been a big fan of the channel, and I've been a longtime friend, and I'm glad that you invited me back. So I'm happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on, man. We've got a lot to talk about. I already see lots of questions coming in the chat, but for those who don't know, Brandon and I share a common love of the Phantom Menace, and it's kind of something we always talk about every few months whenever we reach out to each other. Yeah. And it's getting a re-release in theaters, and I know you're excited about that.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually just talked to my friend today because we were just talking about e-transferring money because we're buying movies or whatever. And I'm like, did we buy tickets for that yet? And he's like, oh, apparently tickets haven't come out yet, but we're planning it. And night one, I'm going to be there.
I'll be there too, man. Trying not to quote out loud. It's one of those movies that on my rating scale, I have it, I don't remember, a 3 or 3.5 out of 5, but it's personal enjoyment through the moon,
Yeah, totally. 100%.
Oh man. But if you guys are in here, be sure to hit that like button. If you're on the replay, hello. And fire off your questions. We'll get to as many as we can here. Super chat is the way to go to guarantee we get to your question, comment, or concern. It's also a big way to help support the channel. But let's see. Someone says, I haven't been here for ages. Well, Zach, welcome back. Glad to have you here. Let's see. Ooh, Connor with the question. Batman 89 or Batman Returns?
You know what? I actually did a poll on my channel, which Batman movie was the best out of all the 90s ones, the Keatons, the Kilmers, and the Clooneys. It's been a while, but I'm going to have to go with Returns because I felt like that one took more risks.
Okay.
Whereas Batman, yes, was very, very innovative for its time. Loved the score, loved the world. The Joker is amazing. But I think Batman Returns has a bit more personality.
Fair.
Let's go with that.
I will say 89. I actually, I don't care for Returns all that much. It's too dark for me. It's too cheesy and just pure camp. With 89, sure, of course, you've got Prince playing while Nicholson's dancing around the museum. But I've always found that 89 is the superior one to me. But funnily enough, I'm not really crazy about either movie. The Batman movies that I revisit it's just the Dark Knight trilogy. Some of the animated stuff I like, and then the Batman. But anything pre-Dark Knight trilogy in terms of live action Batman movies, I've never really connected with.
Yeah, I've always thought the story for Batman 89, I've rewatched it a couple times with some friends who adore that movie. They're of the opinion, it's if you don't think this is the best, then there's something wrong with you. And I go, yeah, it's good, but I don't have that connection to it, the nostalgia. And I've always thought that the story was kind of lacking. And I actually, it's funny that you brought up the Dark Knight. I just showed last month my girlfriend the Dark Knight trilogy for the very first time. So watching it with someone who'd never seen it before, that was a real treat. It was really, really fun.
And I feel like that trilogy holds up so well. There was a period of time in my life. This was 2020. It was right after COVID. So we're talking April 2020. I was going on these streams with people every week on YouTube. It was therapeutic for me. And I remember one stream in particular, I was almost bored, and I go, is the Dark Knight trilogy actually overrated? And I started to question it. And then I went back and rewatched it, and I was like, you're a fool. You're just a fool. It is that good. It is
During COVID, I thought the same thing about Lord of the Rings, because everyone was like, oh, they're so amazing. And I'm like, I know that they're amazing, but I guess I just because I never saw them in the theater. And I always was watching them at home on DVD. And then when I watched them on 4K, when I finally upgraded my TV, I watched Lord of the Rings. I'm like, oh yeah, no, these are amazing. Yeah. So same kind of deal. Yeah. Dark Knight, Lord of the Rings, 2 trilogies, just excellent. Man, I got to watch those again.
And, I feel like that is a common trend with popular movies in general. It's if they've been around for a decade plus, it's almost common for people to question, wait, are they actually all that? And then you go back and watch it, and it just reminds you there's a reason people have these at the top of lists all the time. Because they're generational films, like the Dark Knight trilogy, like the Lord of the Rings. So yeah.
Totally.
Sully's in the house. Shout out Sully. What's up, man? Thank you for the super chat. Favorite Bond movie and why is it gold? I'll let you take the lead on this one. I know you're a big Bond guy. I put the Bond, the 007s on the thumbnail for a reason. One of them, there were reports today, Aaron Taylor Johnson might not even officially, have been offered the role. I don't know what I was reading, but I put him on there anyway.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that you were doing streams during COVID, because that was when I was really doing it. Again, therapeutic. People were just in their houses. They wanted an outlet to talk about movies. It was the perfect time. And I was, that year, No Time to Die was like my number one most anticipated movie. And of course, when it kept getting delayed, I was known as like the James Bond guy. Just people knew me as that. So it's kind of funny how I'm on the stream when that news breaks. It's such a cringe answer, but Casino Royale and Skyfall are like right there. I mean,
I'm laughing because that's exactly what I was going to say. It's just what everyone says.
Because it's just what everyone says. And what's funny? Maybe it's a little bit of a tangent. People talk about like what fandom is the worst or whatever, because every single fandom has at least that one gatekeeping type of line. Oh, you like Star Wars? Well, what kind of Star Wars do you like? I like The Force Awakens. You're banished. You're not a true Star Wars. James Bond has never been like that for me. Everyone I find is pretty welcoming. And then, when you say, oh, what's your favorite Roger Moore film? What's your favorite Pierce Brosnan film? Everyone's pretty relaxed about it. But with Daniel Craig, he's the new James Bond. There's a lot of fans that have only seen those, and they have that gatekeeping ability. Going, you like Spectre? Get out of here. You're not a true Bond fan. So I feel like I fit into that group when I say Casino Royale and Skyfall. But then you have Goldfinger and GoldenEye right there as well. I mean, it's got a bit of everything. It's got the mix of humor, action, drama, the song, the score, the action, the car, literally anything in the Bond ranking. Oh, what's the car like? What's the girl like? Whatever. They're all those are my four. I want to say a Triforce, but that's three, but you know what I mean.
No, yeah, I got you. So for me, my relationship with Bond, I watched a variety of the movies from the different eras randomly growing up on cable with my dad, like the channel called Encore, would just play older films. And so I'd seen, The Man with the Golden Gun, and I would see like parts of Dr. No. And then obviously Daniel Craig is cast as James Bond, and that movie comes out when I'm 6. 2006, I was 6.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see it in theaters, but from Skyfall on, I saw like Skyfall, Spectre, No Time to Die. I saw those in theaters. And so Daniel Craig is like my James Bond. So my favorite Bond film is Skyfall, I'd say. It's the first one I saw in theaters. And Casino Royale, I really do dig, but Skyfall, I get the slight edge too. But when it comes to the other eras of Bonds, there's a lot of homework for me to do. I got the Blu-ray set one year for Christmas because I was like, I'm going to watch them all before No Time to Die.
Yeah.
And then obviously what happened with delays.
Yeah.
kind of derailed
there's a lot to get into. Like there's a lot to catch up on. Yeah.
And so I've seen like one or two from the main eras. Like I've seen probably a part of every Connery film. Probably like a scene from every Roger Moore film. I haven't seen George Lazenby or Dalton. Did Timothy Dalton do 2?
He did 2. Okay. I think you would like, it's funny. Living Daylights is a kind of homage to the books. It's very espionage, very thriller, very heavy with plot. And then License to Kill is a Miami Vice film that happens to star James Bond.
Shoot, okay.
It's Scarface mixed with every 80s cop show. Like that one really does feel like it was trying to, incorporate itself into the times. The song was supposed to be sung by Whitney Houston. And it fits very 80s like, and it was very dark for its time. So, I mean, you look back on it now and you're like, okay, well, it's cheesy, but that was attempting to do the Daniel Craig thing before Daniel Craig was even a thing. So I think you'd like License to Kill more. The villain is one of the best villains in Bond, and no one talks about it because Timothy Dalton's films, in terms of the mainstream, are kind of pushed to the side. So I'd recommend that one.
Okay, cool. I'll note that down because one day, like it's on my bucket list of movies, like movie challenges, if you will, is to go through all the Bond films in order from that set and then go through No Time to Die. And I feel like the next time I would attempt that is when this next Bond movie comes out.
Yeah.
Obviously, I could watch some here and there before then, but that's when I would probably get like a hankering to do that.
Totally.
But no, thank you for the super chat. So we've got another one here from Nemesis. Appreciate that. Did that new Fallout trailer increase or decrease your interest in it? Because to me, it looked absolutely incredible and I cannot wait. So for those who don't know what this is referring to, I believe there was an Amazon Prime series coming out based on the games. I've never played the games, but I saw a brief glimpse of this trailer when I was scrolling through Twitter. I didn't actually watch the full thing. Are you familiar with this show or the games at all?
You know what? When you're reading this question, I'm like, oh God, I'm I'm being asked these questions. I have no idea. I'm the wrong person to ask. No, so sorry. Yeah. No, I was thinking Borderlands, but I got Borderlands and Fallout mixed out. Mixed up. But
well, funnily enough, both get adaptations this year. So
I don't know. I'll have to see the trailer and see if it interests me. But for right now, I can't say.
Yeah. So Walton Goggins is playing. I have no familiarity with the source material, by the way. So if there's any like diehards in here and I just say something completely wrong, sorry. No. So he plays like what seems like the sheriff. He's got like literally looks like Red Skull from the first Avenger. That's all I really know. I saw like a scene of him in like a shootout, like a Mexican standoff with someone in like an old town, but I think it's a post-apocalyptic setting. So I have to watch the trailer to fully answer this question. But from what I have seen, because there was like a teaser a while back, it looked intriguing. But I honestly don't think it'll be a show that I watch unless like word of mouth spreads and people in my personal life are like, dude, you got to check this show out.
Yeah,
that's when I would consider it. But right now, it's not really on my radar.
Yeah. I also got to say something to people in the chat, and I know that you can relate to this. I don't think people understand that when you are a content creator, especially in the reviewing space of video games, movies, TV shows, whatever, any kind of media, the amount of recommendations that we get on a daily basis, if we actually wrote down every single one and watched it, we would like... we'd be dead and we'd still have movies to watch and we'd still have TV shows to watch. And that's the thing too. It's like you got to be really selective about, what you watch. If you get like a recommendation from like 100 people, then maybe there's something to it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that even people in the chat have this in their normal lives as well. Like you got to watch this. Why? Oh, because my dad saw it in 1983 and it's good. Okay, if I get some more recommendations, we can go for it. But yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in there.
No, I bouncing off that. I don't know if you can relate, but in your life, like if you tell people you like movies and then they ask you, "Oh, what do you do?" and you tell them like do anything related to movies, it automatically opens the door to this conversation of people like telling you, "Oh, watch this movie," or wanting to talk about like the most recent movies. And I always love to talk about movies, but for me, I do it so frequently. Sometimes I'm like, I just don't want to talk about this right now. And it's usually the new releases. It's never the old stuff. For reference, Saturday, I went and hung out with my buddy. We had a marathon. We watched, showed him The Godfather, The Godfather 2, and Shawshank. And it was like an epic thing. We went to like 1:45 in the morning. And after that, I was like, this reminds me why I love movies. Just inundating myself with cinema. But I love talking about stuff like that. But like, I'll for reference, Dune 2, I did the review and everything, and I talked to some people around me, and then it's like it just keeps coming up. It's like I get burnt out on talking about certain movies after I've like done all the work of making a review and then making a short form review and then maybe ranking it in a franchise ranking. It just gets tiring.
Yeah. Totally. And you know what? Like we were talking about this off camera. Like I haven't been posting very much in the last 2 months because I haven't been like working as a reviewer, like reviewing every single movie, because it can get, especially when life gets in the way and whatever, like you have to have a certain lifestyle to keep up with that. But it's been so nice to kind of take a break where it's like, you know what? I'll go see Dune 2, or I saw Argyle 3 weeks afterwards. It was on a cheap matinee. Go, you know what? I'll go see that, and it's not like I have to go see it. I have to review it right away, and then I got to put it in a ranking video.
Oh my gosh, freeing!
You know what I mean? So, and then you know what? Let's watch the Dark Knight trilogy. My girlfriend hadn't seen it, and it allows me for some more time. So, yeah, like it's awesome to always kind of see the new movie. But but then again, it's always nice. It's a nice balance. So yeah, I could totally understand where you're coming from, especially when it's like a movie you didn't like, and now I gotta review it, and I gotta put it in this video, and now I gotta answer a bunch of questions about it. And it's like, there's some times where I watch a movie, and then literally 5 minutes afterwards, I'm like, okay, I'm on to the next thing in my life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that's how it is with a lot of stuff, unfortunately, that comes out is just like Kung Fu Panda 4. I was done talking about that movie like after, like I just couldn't stand it. I would say I couldn't stand it. It was like a 2.5 out of 5 for me, but by far the weakest of the series. And so I kept having to bring it up, and I was just like, I'm done talking about this movie now. So
I took a bunch of I was babysitting that night. And I mean, they're like 13, 15, like they're younger teenagers, and we took them to see that opening night. And I'm like, it was okay. And because like we're jaded, like we've seen enough bad movies, but they're like, it's the worst movie ever. How could they do this? And I'm like, oh, you're so young, like, you know. So I understand it for sure.
Yeah. Oh man. But no, good question, Nemesis. Now I've got a super chat from Zach saying, sorry I'm late. Favorite and least favorite movie, favorite and least favorite TV shows. Well, thank you for the super chat. I have always been asked this question in live streams, and I'm always like, I don't know anymore. But I like to kind of spice it up because I give the same pick. So I'll say some of my favorites that I don't shine enough light on is the way I'll go about this one. And I'm going to take any chance I can get to bring this movie up. And this isn't a surprise to anyone. National Treasure rules. It's one of my favorites. I'm going to bring that up, even though Nick Cage recently shot down. They're not going to do a third. That saddened me, but I get it.
Yeah.
A TV show of mine that I don't talk about a lot, but I really like. I'll shout out Ozark. Really, really dug that. It was the pandemic show for me. That was right around the time season 3 was coming out. So those aren't my all-time favorites. They're probably in my list, but those aren't like my number one and movie and number one show. Just something I don't talk about as much, I guess. What about you?
Yeah, you know what? I'll do the same. I mean, people who know me know what my favorites are. So like a movie that I could shed some light on. You know what? I'll say this one. A recent movie that when I watch it, I'm like, holy smokes. Like, what a movie. And then they re-released it, and they just released it on 4K. Some people might know where I'm going with this. But The Abyss, I don't know if you ever have this, but when you see a poster from an older decade and you're like, you know what? I think I would really like that movie. There's something about it. You don't know what it's about.
Yep.
You don't know who's in it, but there's something about it that just goes, I will like that movie. And then I watched it on Laserdisc first, just because. And I go, wow, this was really awesome. They're re-releasing it for one day, and I saw it, and I cry every time. I cry, and it's not because there's like a sad moment, but because it's like a really overly joyous moment. And like, it's not like a movie that I watched growing up. I just saw it for the first time like in October of last year. And I don't know where it ranks in my top 50, whatever. But I'm like, that is a great, great movie.
Okay.
So I'll shine some light on that one. A movie that I just don't like. I saw one a couple days ago. So if you don't know if you've heard of the Omen trilogy, but there's a new one coming out in April. I saw the third one with Sam Neill. One of the most boring movies I've ever seen. And I hate to say that because we watched it as a Patreon watch along, and it was one of the subscribers who sent it to me, and he's a big fan. And I'm like, I just can't do it. I can't do it. It was so boring. And I tried to like it, but I couldn't. So I'll shine some light on that one.
What's funny to me is you mentioned that, and I'm not kidding. My IMDb search history, The Omen is in there because I got invited to like a screening of the new one. Right. And I hadn't seen them, but I'm familiar with them. I was like, how many of those are there? Would I consider watching them? And then I was like, I don't think I want to watch through that horror franchise. So I don't think I'm going to do it. But
yeah, I would say like the first one and even the second one is okay, but you're not missing much.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
Fair. I've heard I'm familiar with a certain iconic scene from the first one because years ago I watched I think it was Chris Stuckman's review, and like I just didn't care about spoilers at the time because I was like, I'll never watch The Omen. And I don't know if I ever will because I've seen that review, and so I kind of know what happens. So I'm good. But I realized I forgot to answer the least favorite part of this question. 2016 Suicide Squad is probably my least favorite or most unpleasant experience with the movie I've ever had. So
yeah, that one's just It sucks.
Yeah, it is. It's borderline just unwatchable.
Yeah.
Movie Fan 2002 with a super chat saying, Chris, Brandon, please check out Amphibia and The Owl House. They're great animated shows. I've never heard of either of these. Are they anime or are they?
I haven't heard of these either. I'm gonna look them up.
Yeah, please do. But kind of going back to the recommendation thing, there's like millions of shows. I feel like that people are like, you got to watch this show. You go and look at it. It's like anywhere from 6 to 10 seasons, hour-long episodes. It's like that is a full-on commitment right there.
Yeah,
I can watch an hour and a half, hour 45 movie. To watch that much TV, whew,
they're both Disney animated ones. And I want to ask you this, because when I was in film school 10 years ago, I got this all the time, and I would get this in YouTube too. Quote, you have to watch this show. The first 6 seasons are terrible, but once you get to season 7, then it gets good. And you're like, what do you think I do with my time?
That is...
thanks.
It's actually funny you mentioned that, because I feel like that has almost become like a trope in the real world. Like I was getting my haircut, the guy who cuts my hair, we were talking about movies and TV shows, and he said the same thing. He was like, oh, well, there's this show. And he's like, I was like, have you watched it? I don't remember what we were talking about. And then he was like, well, someone told me it gets good around like season 3. And I'm like, so you're wasting 2 seasons of your life pretty much.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Yeah. That's always wild. And it's a hard sell, especially when you're like just trudging through. It's different if it's like good for 3 or 4 seasons, then there's 1 week season, and then it ends on a high note. But to start weak, it's just hard to sell someone on that.
Yeah, 100%.
And then a Stranger Fan with a super chat. Thank you so much. I don't know where you stand with Stranger Things, Brandon, but
3 episodes. 3 episodes in.
Okay, cool. Well, let's see. This question says, do you think Mike Wheeler being the leader of the group again, like he was in season 1? Oh, do you think Mike Wheeler will be the leader? And is it possible in season 5 he could be one of your favorites, possibly better than Dustin? I will say I think Mike is going to assume a leadership role again. I won't spoil anything, by the way, Brandon. But I think he'll have more of a leadership role in season 5. They're hinting at that. Finn Wolfhard's even said it in interviews. And then regarding the back half of this question, I don't think Mike can top Dustin for me. Dustin is like a top 3 character. He always has been. He's just very lovable, energetic. And I've had my issues with Mike for far too many seasons for him to overtake Dustin as one of my favorites. So long shot right there. But
this is such a basic question for Stranger Things, but like I'm going off like the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So like I think it's Mike's older sister is like starting to date this guy. Who
Steve?
is he? Yeah, Steve Harrington.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my old friends, he would always like, he has like the same facial features and he has the same haircut. So he went as him for Halloween.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And like so many girls, oh my God, you're like Steve Harrington. And yeah, that was totally intentional on his part. So he went as Steve Harrington for
he was probably a magnet for the ladies that night. Steve's a good looking fella.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely were paying attention to him for sure.
That's funny. He's actually the actor Joe Keery. I don't know if you're familiar, but he has music and it's like, it's Joe, but it's DJO, like the D is silent.
Oh,
like Django. And he's been had a song called End of Beginning that's really popped off on TikTok. And it's, if you go on TikTok, it's probably, you've definitely probably seen that audio. And so his music's been getting a lot more attention lately, and he's been getting like interviews as a musician, which is really neat to see.
That's nice. Yeah, I remember him in Free Guy. He was like one of the programmers.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Spree?
He's
in that. It's like a found footage type horror movie. It's almost like an American Psycho type film, but it's like he's an Uber driver, but they call it Spree. And so all the film is like part of it's shot like vertically, like through an iPhone camera or like a live stream. Part of it is security cameras. It's pretty unique.
I think I've seen trailers for it. I never saw it. I'll add it to my watch list.
Nothing special, but it is. I just like the concept, and he plays a fun psychopath.
Yeah,
if you like those slasher movies.
Sometimes you need like a good concept because like, when you watch the newest release all the time, when it feels pretty recycled, it's like, oh, it's an Uber driver. That's like you know what? That's different. Let's try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like to quote Cliff Booth, why not? That's what he says in Once Upon a Time. Tonight's the night. Why not?
Why not?
But no, they give the super chat, Stranger Fan, and I cannot wait for season 5. All right, let's see. Jello plays in here. What's good? Top 3 celebs you hope to meet one day. Good question. I would say I would love to meet, like, within the fandoms that I'm a part of. Joe Keery, funnily enough, is one of those people. David Harbour as well, who plays Hopper in Stranger Things. And then I honestly want to meet like Matthew McConaughey. I think he would just be really cool to talk to. And I'd love to just go and sit at a bar with him for like 30 minutes and have a few beers and talk to him, because I just want to pick his brain. You know, he's one of those guys.
Funny story about Matthew McConaughey. I never met him, but so I now work in a town called Langley, British Columbia. It's like the armpit of Vancouver. It's just a bunch of trees, nothing really there. It's trees and some car dealerships and a mall, and that's it. And he was filming there because they do a lot of filming up here. And he was just driving around and his car broke down. And a bunch of locals like picked him up, didn't even know who he was, took him to like this bar, and like it's a down ding 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 ding, and like no one knew who he was, which I find hard to believe. But I pass by this bar all the time when I go to work. It's some like sketchy ass bar,
like it's Deliverance or something.
Yeah, well, think of like the bar in Terminator 2 at the beginning. It's some like biker bar, and then apparently he said something somewhere. He's like, "Oh my god, I love Langley so much. It's awesome. Like people are so nice here." And yeah, it was an interesting thing about Matthew McConaughey. But Tom Cruise, just because that guy can do anything. Keeping it with the fandoms. Maybe Hayden Christensen.
Okay.
Hometown kid as well.
Any like athletes?
Yeah. I've met a couple. I mean, athletes. Yeah, I'd say, well, his name's Elias Pettersson. He's like the star of my hockey team.
Okay.
I might throw in like Ryan Reynolds, another hometown kid. And then I think Bill Maher would be really interesting to talk to. Okay. Yeah, but he's more of a political talk show host than an actor. But he's a celebrity, so that counts.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, a lot of famous Canadians out there, eh?
Yeah, and you had to say it like that too.
I did. I had to. Ryan Gosling, Canadian, isn't he?
Yep.
My God. Yeah, I mean, Finn Wolfhard, I believe, I was just talking about, who plays Mike, Canadian.
Yeah, from the same from my town actually too. Hold on a second. Let me just double check that that's actually true.
That's pretty. I mean,
he's from Vancouver. There you go.
There you have it. So yeah, a lot of famous Canadians in the world of Hollywood today. Shout out Jacob, the best mod around. Cinema Realist, what's up? How you doing, everybody? Welcome. Sasha says, big hello to you guys. Hope you're both doing well. Go dogs. Go dogs, Sasha.
Great channel, by the way, Sasha. Go follow her.
Sasha's awesome. Go subscribe if you have not. Gavin says, any excitement for Alien Romulus? Which teaser trailer dropped today. I don't know if you've been able to check that out or not.
No, not yet. I didn't even know there was a trailer until someone mentioned it in the comments.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think with new movies now, it's like if it comes out that weekend and I have time and the trailer looks kind of cool and like one of my friends or my girlfriend is like, hey, let's go out, then I'll go see it. And there's very few movies where I'm like, I'm so excited for that. If I like the trailer, I'll be mildly like, oh, you know what? I'll keep an eye out for that.
Have you seen like Prometheus? I haven't. I've only seen I've seen Alien and Aliens, and God, I've actually seen Alien 3. But I stopped there. I will probably watch the rest before this one. But where do you stand? Because I hear that Prometheus and Alien Covenant are like controversial.
Yeah, but I think they're controversial for Alien fans. You know what I mean? So it's like it doesn't fit with the fandom, which I'm not a part of. So Alien 1, this is my hot take, but I find that movie incredibly boring. I get it. I see how influential it was, and I see all of the objective truths in terms of how good the film is. But when I'm actually watching, I'm like, I'm bored. Like Aliens is awesome. Some of the best production design in a sci-fi movie. Haven't seen Alien 3. Haven't seen Alien Resurrection. Is that the fourth
I
one?
think that is what it's called. Yeah. Alien
Haven't seen
Resurrection.
that. I saw Prometheus once on a live stream, like a watch along. It was okay. And I remember liking Alien Covenant a lot in the theater, but I haven't thought about or seen that movie since. So, say what you will. I remember, though, I was thinking, wow, these special effects are amazing, which doesn't happen very often nowadays because every movie has great special effects. But I remember there was one fight scene with the alien. I'm like, this looks really, really awesome.
That's such a weird phenomenon. Like, because it happens to me where I'll watch a movie in theaters and then I'll be like, yeah, I really dug that. And then I will never watch it again. Like 2018, there's a handful of movies from that year where that happened. One of them being Ready Player One. I was like, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I haven't watched it since theaters.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. And I think some people, like, maybe I'll shed some light for the people watching. And again, you can relate to this, is like, I know people who have like watched a movie, a screening or whatever, and then once the screening is out, it's like a rush to get the review out because, of course, there's only so many views around YouTube, especially for a review for a new movie. You got to get it out as fast as possible, and you get it out so fast that you don't really let your opinion really sink in. You know what I mean? So, like, I know people who have watched movies and given them 5 out of 5s, and I'm guilty of this too. And then, like, 3 weeks later, I'm like, what happened in that again? Like, it doesn't. I think, yeah, Finch was the biggest culprit of this. The Apple TV movie with Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
I gave it a 5 out of 5. I haven't thought about that movie since making the review. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and sometimes that happens. And then sometimes, you go a couple months without talking about it, and then it's like, oh, yeah, you know what? That's actually really good. You give it another try, and you're like, wow, I finally get it, and it sinks in. So, yeah, like Alien Covenant, it didn't. It hit me then. It hasn't had any lasting impact.
Yeah. The movie for me that I did the 5 out of 5 thing with was Last Night in Soho, the Edgar Wright movie. I was like, oh,
yeah, I remember you liking that one.
5 out of 5, love it. And then I haven't watched it since, and that was fall of 2021. And I haven't really thought about it either. So that just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a heat of the moment type thing where you're like feeling a certain way on one night. You're like, yeah, absolutely. I love this thing, 5 out of 5. And then as time passes, kind of realize, oh, I don't know, maybe it just hasn't sat with me.
Yeah.
So
I think if you're just honest about that, because like movies are all about like feeling and emotion, and you get caught up in it, and you get caught up in the hype, or if you're in a bad mood, like a movie can definitely not hit you the same way. So like as long as people are honest about that, and acknowledge that can happen, then I think
which
we're all good.
Which is scary because in the current state of like Twitter and TikTok, like people are unwilling to accept that opinions change for folks. Like if someone honestly says, I saw X movie on this day and I gave it a 3 out of 5, and then I watched it a year later and I loved it, that is normal. Opinions change, people change. But because and I can't speak, I guess I can, let me know what you think of this, but as someone who's recorded their opinion in one day, posted it online for everyone to see, and then, months pass, people sort of tie you down to that one thing you said. And it's like, I said that a year ago, and it's my thoughts on a movie that I hate now. It's just like I do the MCU rankings, and sometimes I'll rewatch something a year later and be like, oh, I like that a lot more now. But because you said it once and people don't, see you every day and interact with you or talk to you, they're like, think you hate it. Like, wait, what are you talking about, dude? It's kind of stressful.
You know what's funny? I actually have a whole 5-page video essay written out for this exact same topic. And I'm planning on filming it, when, I get some other videos done. But because that is a really interesting phenomenon, I think there's a couple things. One, I think people feel like they get cheated. It's like, well, I'm looking to you to, tell me what to watch. And if you like it, then one day. And if you don't like it the other day, it's like, what do I do? Like, it's like I have no self-agency and I can't figure out my own But then I say, well, when you were 5, you probably liked certain movies, and there were certain movies that you like now that would make no sense to you. Like, I don't think a 5-year-old's going to have the same opinion of The Godfather, Godfather Part 2, and Shawshank Redemption. So you're not going to invite a 5-year-old to that marathon. They're going to be wanting to watch Blue's Clues or Paw Patrol or whatever. And when you're 30 and you're like, oh, I don't really like that, but at 25 years ago you said you liked it, you know what I mean? So
No,
it's just stupid. Like, if people, I get it. Some people think, and I think it gets down to this, some people think that objectively it's like a movie is good or a movie is bad, and I think that's a crock of shit. I think it's people like different things for different reasons. Yes, you can. I used this example once. You can have a movie like, let's just say, The Godfather. Most people will agree that that's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
You get a movie like Suicide Squad. Most people will agree it's a terrible movie. You can write a 500-page essay about why Godfather is better than Suicide Squad. But there is a possibility that someone can watch both films, read that essay, and go, I like superheroes, and I like the Joker, and I like Suicide Squad more. And even we could go like, I can't get there. But it's just their opinion, their emotions. It's how that film went to them. So, I think like people change their opinions. People change their opinions for food, for what, like anything. Like,
it's just because it's movies and because we talk about it online. Like you said, people almost hold it to like a higher value than really they should. And so, it's just part of it.
And people only know you through YouTube.
Yes.
They don't know you through every single day. They don't know what you're going through. Like, they don't know your emotions before you hit the record button or afterwards. It's just, that's what they know. They know, oh, you said this on this day, and you go, I did? Like, because they know this, but your life is, way more than that.
I guarantee you there's some reviews from 2021 where I said things I don't even, like, someone could say, what did you say in your review of The Atom Project? I don't know, but I know for sure that I'm more positive on the movie now. That's a random Netflix movie with like Ryan Reynolds, but I think I was like, meh, but I've watched that like 2 times since, and I enjoy it quite a bit. It's like a heartfelt story. And so it just happens. Happens.
Yeah. 100%.
Phantom Menace's top 3 Star Wars. Fight me. I respect it. I respect it. When will we get our next Avengers film? I know they have like a date out there, but I don't think this movie, the next one's going to come out until like 2028. Like, it's going to be a while, and I don't think they need to rush it. I think they actually need to establish who the Avengers are before they have a movie.
Let the general public get on board again. I think that's my own opinion about it.
One thing I'll say is I remember after Endgame, or some time period after, I told people, I was like, I don't think we should get an Avengers movie until 2030. And everyone was like, you're insane. And I was like,
they need to bring Iron Man back.
There's a world, man, where we don't get one for 6 years. It's not that crazy anymore because of all the stuff they have lined up. So they'll probably get one out, within 4 years. But still, I wouldn't be mad if they waited until 2030.
I mean, heck, we lived through COVID where we were getting no new releases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, be grateful that we have 4 Avengers films that, for the most part, are all awesome. Most people can agree that all 4 of those movies are good to unbelievably amazing.
Yes. 100% agree.
That is awesome. That is awesome that we have that. We need more.
More. It's like Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Starcourt says most anticipated movie of 2025. So had this been asked a few weeks ago, I would have said the Batman Part 2. I can no longer say that.
Oh, so I was about to say that.
Board. Yeah, it got delayed to 26. I don't know if Google's updated that or not, but yeah.
Oh,
it's a damn shame.
Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah, the 8th one comes out, but title TBD, because didn't they like officially go back and change it to just Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, even though it's like hard copy in the film, like it says Part 1. I read that like Paramount officially changed the title to just Dead Reckoning.
It says Dead Reckoning Part 2 on IMDb, so we'll see. But yeah, that'd be like a oops.
Yeah, we'll see what they do with that. But for me, I'd say I'm honestly gonna say Tarantino's movie, The Movie Critic. I think it's supposed to come out next year. And then I really am starting to look forward to this PTA movie with Leo, Paul Thomas Anderson's next movie. It's coming out in August of 25 with Leonardo DiCaprio. They've never worked together, so sign me up for that.
I guess they did work together. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Leo, he's really being selective. You know, he's obviously done multiple Scorsese, multiple Tarantino, Paul Thomas Anderson. I wonder what's next for him.
Yeah, totally.
Gavin says, do you think Heat 2 will be any good without De Niro?
I mean, I don't think... Gotta be careful with my words here. I don't think any movie is tied down to one actor. We've had multiple James Bond films with multiple different actors. We've had multiple Spider-Man films with multiple different actors. I don't think that De Niro is like essential to Dune, or not Dune, sorry. To Heat 2. Sorry. You know, and that's why I've always said, like, they should just reboot Indiana Jones. Well, you can't have Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford, but I'm like, but you can have James Bond without him. You can have Spider-Man without Tobey Maguire. You can, you know. So I think any movie has the possibility to be good. Every single one. But every single movie also has the ability to be bad. But I don't think removing one actor, you know, will necessarily just make or break the film.
Yeah. When it comes to Heat 2, I honestly don't think it's... I know Michael Mann's coming back to direct, and I know Heat is beloved, and I really dig Heat, but I just don't think this is remotely necessary. And I think Adam Driver is playing like young Neil, and Austin Butler's rumored to be playing young Val Kilmer. They could probably deliver a really stacked cast, but I just don't. I gotta just wait and see. This is one of those movies where, like, the concept I'm not sold on. I have to go watch the movie to find out. I don't want to judge it before I see it.
Yeah, being you know, being excited for something is totally different than just like saying, you know, nobody can say a movie will be good or bad before they actually see the movie. If anyone tries to tell you otherwise, they're lying. You know what I mean? Like, you can say that you hope that this movie will be good. I hope every movie is good. I never want to see a bad movie. But yeah, I think Heat 2 will be okay without De Niro. Does that mean it'll be a good movie? Let's see.
It's funny, that whole topic of you know, saying a movie will be good or bad. There have been times in my life where I've told myself, there's no way this movie will be bad. And then every time I've said that, mostly I walk out in shambles. That most recently being Dial of Destiny. I said, there's no way this movie is going to be bad. And I walked out and I was like, that's my least favorite Indiana Jones movie. Now, I know that a lot of people still have Crystal Skull at the bottom, but I don't think you and I have even had a chance to talk about this. I know you're a big indie guy, so I'd love to sort of dabble in the Dial of Destiny discourse.
I like it because I'm an Indiana Jones fan. Like, the action isn't great. The story isn't amazing. And here's the thing too. A lot of people think Indiana Jones is about Indiana Jones. It isn't, though. He is just Adventure Man. You could put him into anything. It's not his like character that makes those movies interesting. It's the adventure. Oh, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, he's going to Egypt and he's going after the Lost Ark, and there's the Nazis, and then there's Marion. Okay, now in the second one, it's Temple of Doom. Now he's in India, and it's the stones, and that to me is what makes Indiana Jones interesting, because no one wants to see their hero old. Red Letter Media made a great comment about this. It's like, imagine all the cast of Fast and Furious making Fast and Furious 20, and they're all in old age homes, and they're just like, meh. But I'm like, but it's a more character drama. It's like, no one cares. You watch a Fast and the Furious movie to see fast cars. You watch an Indiana Jones movie to see adventure. I like it because I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, but I think the movie fails as an Indiana Jones movie because we don't want to see this old guy, struggle to keep up with an adventure. You know what I mean? Those are my thoughts.
The movie, my thing when I walked out of it, the big gripe I had was that I look at the first 4 films, and obviously there's a lot of supernatural elements. There's a lot of absurdity in the film. Like the wrath of God, in the end of the first film, and, people getting their hearts ripped out in the second film, the concept of eternal life, even in the fourth film, aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those are believe or not, choose to believe them or not. When it comes to the fifth film, and I'm aware Dial of Destiny from the get-go, I was like, they're probably going the time travel route. When it happened, when they actually committed to it, I was stunned. I was just like, they're actually doing this. Yeah. I despised it. I thought it was just so ridiculous. And I'm aware that there's really hard to wrap your brain around concepts in the first 4 films, but they still feel grounded in reality in some sense, because they're topics. They're like, oh, well, what if this aliens are real? There's like, there could be proof out there. It could be hidden by the government. And then, religious beliefs or people around the world have their different ones. So playing into that idea of the supernatural, I can get behind. The time travel in this film, it immediately just took me out. And then that I legitimately could not wrap my brain around. It just really irked me. You ever had that happen in a movie where one thing happens and you're just like, it's like I have this itch in my brain. I'm like, I can't look past it. It's just really bothering me.
Solo, a Star Wars story.
Okay.
Darth Maul should not be in a Solo movie. I'm alone. Oh, then we'll name you Han Solo. Should have named him Han by himself, like, or then him like going.
Oh yeah,
talk Wookiee. It's like those 3 things. I even in the theater, I'm going, oh no, like this is what they're going with. You know what's funny? The time travel thing, I actually liked it because I'm like, you're making an action adventure movie with the guy who's in his 80s. Just fuck it. Just go for it. Like, and it was historical, where it was tied into like the ancient antiquity, like ancient Greece.
Yeah.
So it did kind of fit that culture. What I was mad about was like, you missed a perfect opportunity for an action scene. Escaping, the portal's closing. You got to get the plane. No, Phoebe Waller-Bridge just punches him, and then he wakes up in his apartment. It's like, no, never mind. We're good.
Very rushed finale, in my opinion.
And it's like, it's the final Indiana Jones film. Go off with him trying to get back to his time. Like, that would have been like, the sweeping music. And I found it like, Indiana Jones and Marion go to ice cream at the end. He kind of like grabs his hat. There's no like swelling music. Like, let's get Sala going. All right, kids, let's get some ice cream. Let's go, Grandpa. And he's like kind of embraced that role. He grabs his cane and dun, puts on his cat. And it's like he's evolved into like the grandfather role. Like, sure, whatever. But it's just, meh. This is the end of our story.
See, I found that Crystal Skull ended like I feel like the journey was unnecessary in the 5th one. Like, he ends pretty much in relatively the same spot. Like, obviously they have this whole arc for him where he feels down and out, and like he's obviously not a part of the times anymore. Like, he's nearing retirement and all that jazz. But I feel like the end of 4, he marries Marion and he walks off with this, they like tease Shia Mutt being the Indian, and then he picks up the hat, walks out. And then this movie, it's like he is happy with Marion at the very end. He has his hat, and then it ends. I think it was just desperate by Disney. That's just me. And then, of course, I could get into it, but we'll move on.
Yeah. Like you said, though, like saying like, hey, there's no way that movie can be bad. Like, that trailer was amazing.
Oh my gosh. And one of the best trailers I've seen in a while.
Totally. Yep. And it's a movie that I said to me, it's like, it has to be good. And I was completely lying to myself, was Rise of Skywalker. I'm like, there's no way that they can screw it up. There's no way they can screw it up.
Little did we know.
And that's the thing. I think watching all those, like, every single one of my favorite franchises now has a bad movie. Every single one. And I think that just makes me grateful. It's like, you know what? Just be happy about the good films that you have. You know what I mean? We have 4 Avengers films, like we were talking about. Let's just be happy. And then when another one comes out and it's good, be like, yeah, it's great. And if it's disappointing, that's too bad. It didn't ruin my childhood. You know what I mean? Like, I was definitely one of those people that said that, though, as a teenager. I think we all go through that phase.
I was pretty in denial when Last Jedi came out, but oh man. Hayden with the super chat saying, Brandon and Chris, do you guys like The Bachelor?
At one point I did.
Okay.
But then the contestants became younger than me. And
the rest is history.
I'm like, ugh, gosh. Yeah, no.
I tune in from time to time when I'm with my girlfriend, because she watches it. And I've watched like seasons in 2019. I want to say I watched one of them. But It's not something I would ever seek out on my own, but if my girlfriend is watching it and I'm with her, I'll be like, "Oh, what's the tea?" And she'll fill me in on all the drama. So it's entertaining enough.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dank Sinatra, what's good? How you doing? And by the way, if you guys are in here on the replay, welcome, man. I know a lot of guys cannot join live, and hit that like button and super chat in your questions. The way to guarantee we get down to it. All right. Looking through here. Let's see. Ooh, yeah. So Ian's in the house. Shout out, Ian. Thoughts on the Batman Part 2 being delayed? We talked about earlier how it was delayed. Like, how do you feel about this?
You know what's funny? After we watched the Dark Knight trilogy, we watched the Batman. I love that movie. That's one movie I'd be like, you know what? I'm really curious to see what they would do. The fact that I have to wait a bit longer, it's too bad. As long as it's not being canceled. You know, I think of the bright side. If they canceled it, I'd be really disappointed. Yeah.
I would say, you know, it's worth it probably. Deliver the best film possible. I obviously would love to see it today if I could. But I do think people have become impatient with waiting between movies and even seasons of television. There was a time where we had to wait 3 to 4 years, and it was the norm. And just because in like the late 2010s, we were waiting 1 year or every other year, it kind of made a lot of people accustomed to that, when in reality, 3 to 4 years, I think, is fine. Especially for the highest quality.
Yeah, so totally.
What are your thoughts on the new Karate Kid movie coming out in December, supposedly?
I put that as my most anticipated movie of the year because I'm like, I think Cobra Kai is awesome. I love the first movie. Even the second and third movies, they're kind of charming. They're not the best, but they're charming enough. I never saw the Hilary Swank movie.
Nor did I.
And I never saw the Jackie Chan one either. So that one's on my list. But I'm going, how are they going to make another new Karate Kid movie? Is that like apart from, you know, Cobra Kai? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's go.
I am very skeptical about this movie personally because I love Cobra Kai, and I know that the final season's probably coming out later this year, they're saying. And so a movie coming out a few months after, could it, you know, diminish the ending of Cobra Kai? Could it? It scares me. It scares me, especially that Sony's involved, and we've seen what they've done with the Madam Web crap and all the different Spider-Man villain spinoffs, and it's like Sony's property essentially. And so they put out this video where they're like, we're going to take Jackie Chan from like what we thought was like a remake reboot, and we're going to put the Karate Kid Daniel LaRusso with him. And I just don't know. I feel like it's really desperate, and I do feel like it's going to be a big middle finger to Cobra Kai. But I'm glad that you do have some excitement for it. I'm like, we just got to see, because it could tie into Cobra Kai, and they don't want to spoil it yet. But for me, I'm very on the fence about that one.
Scratching at the door. Come on.
A cat cameo.
All right, here we go.
Let's see it. I hear her. Or it's
him. This is Roger.
Oh, Roger's grown since I last saw him.
Oh yeah, he was a kitten last year.
Look at him. Hey, buddy.
So I mean, I just picked it because he was an old man name, but everyone's like, "Oh, it's Roger Ebert or Roger Moore or you know."
Hey. That's cute. Sweet kitty. Oh.
Okay. Go play.
Speaking of Roger Moore, favorite Roger Moore Bond movie?
Spy Who Loved Me or Live and Let Die.
There you go. I'm not going to answer because I don't think I've seen enough to answer it.
Oh, he wants to jump in.
Let's see. Oh.
All right. Just don't step on the keyboard. I don't want to leave the stream. All right.
Rylan Reviews in here. What's up, man? How you doing? My question is, what are your thoughts on the Alien franchise, especially since the Romulus teaser dropped today? So we talked about this a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Love Alien, love Aliens. Just thought Alien 3 stunk. I watched it for a Fincher ranking. Movie stunk. And so, yeah, that's where I stand with it. I haven't seen the rest, but you gave your thoughts on that earlier, I believe.
Yes, I did.
Aliens, you'd say, is your favorite?
Yeah. I'd say that movie is solid.
Have you ever watched Manifest? I have not.
I don't even know what Manifest is.
I think it's a television series, and it's the premise, and I could be off here. There's a show where like there's a group of people who get on a plane, and then 5 years pass in the real world before they land, like they disappear, and so they return, and it's basically like they were blipped, but then they just come back, and the world has changed. So it's
like
a drama.
Lost meets Avengers.
It sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh man. All right. Favorite movie villains of all time.
I mean, the Joker. You know what's funny? To me, I always say that a great villain is a villain where you just don't know how the hero will defeat them.
Mm-hmm.
If you just know it's, oh, our hero can defeat this person easily, then they are not a good villain. Like there's no stakes involved. I remember when I was a kid and I saw Ivan Drago in Rocky 4. And spoiler alert, when a certain character gets killed, I remember I was like 12 or something. I remember like pacing around my room and I'm like, they can't get away with this. They can't. That is a good villain. Thanos is a great villain because when I'm watching Infinity War, I'm going, he cannot be stopped. How do they do it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and after that movie, I'm like, oh, like he can't get away with this. When you're getting emotionally involved, that's when it's a great villain. Or when you think this dude could be real, like the Riddler from the Batman. Like people like this exist.
Yeah,
and that's terrifying.
Truly horrific. I would say when you're describing that, they feel unbeatable. The first one that comes to mind is actually a TV villain, and it's Kingpin from the Daredevil show on Netflix. Like that villain, especially in season 3, that man has a hold over the city, and it's like multiple times where I was like, I don't know if Daredevil's getting out of this one, guys. He's up there. Now I know that's a TV villain, but movie wise, I mean, it's one of the most stereotypical answers of all time. But Darth Vader's got to be up there. Darth Vader's got to be up there, especially if you just watch the original trilogy and you're just going off that.
Yeah,
come on,
100%.
So, yeah, I'll shout out Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men.
Yeah,
pretty terrifying villain as well.
Yeah, as well. See, oh, you know what? This is bad. Kali Ma from, I guess, Ma from Temple of Doom. Like he's like the spirit that everyone worships, but his power, that's pretty terrifying. Or maybe not like, oh, we can see them defeat him. Like, have you ever seen Braveheart? King Edward the First. What a dick. You know what I mean? When you just despise the person.
Oh my God, Commodus from Gladiator's got to be up there then.
I
wanted to kill. Like I wanted to,
and great performance too. Everyone talks about Russell Crowe in that movie, but when Joaquin Phoenix is like, "Am I not merciful?" I'm like, "Oh, that's acting. That is amazing." Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm excited to rewatch that movie. My girlfriend has not seen it, and so I'll be showing it to her for the first time at some point this year because the sequel's coming out, and I'm pumped. I've seen it a handful of times in my life, but really looking forward to this rewatch.
Totally, absolutely.
Let's see. We'll go
Davy Jones. Someone said in the comments. Oh yeah, Davy Jones is good too.
Big strap Bill, you are a liar. You'll spend an eternity on this ship. I love him.
I'm trying to think of who else.
I love the pirate shrine in the background. I know you.
Oh
that's your favorite.
Well, awesome. And it's funny. So that pop figure was a gift, and then there was like a comic book convention, and I was like, oh, I'll go see it. But they actually had a lot of merch there, and that was like an old piggy bank from the Disney resort, and the guy was selling it for like $2. I go, that would be perfect for like a background thing. And if you can see behind it, there's actually like the map of Disneyland. And I was there, and I didn't even know this, on the same day as the Pirates on Stranger Tides premiere. So they actually had to close down Main Street, and they had all the red carpet.
Jeez.
I didn't see Johnny Depp. I mean, like there was people everywhere, right? Some people, like we all went as with the school, and they like stayed there for hours. And I go like, okay. And one of them actually got to talk to Penelope Cruz because they were speaking Spanish to each other. But but I'm like, by the time I thought, okay, it'd be kind of cool, there was like 500 people, like all crammed there. Like it was just a nightmare to get into.
No, yeah, it sounds like it. I've never been to a Disney park when like a big celebrity's there, but I know people who were there when like the Avengers cast was in Disneyland. I think it was, I don't remember why. It might have been related to Infinity War Endgame, but they were there, and my buddy was there, and he didn't like get to see anyone. But Disneyland, I remember for the 5th film, I want to say, is when Johnny Depp like went onto Pirates the ride, and he like was acting like he was an animatronic to people.
You went to the red carpet of Doctor Strange 2, right? That was the movie?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Sweet. Yep. It was cool to go out there. I've only been to LA twice in my life. That was one of the times, so it was really neat. Are you excited for GTA 6?
Yes. That is
one game.
That's one game that I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to play it. Because, growing up, I was never allowed to play like violent video games. Like I was a pretty sheltered kid. Then when GTA 5 came out, and I went like, oh, I'll buy it. Everyone else is buying it. I loved that game. And I'm like, yeah, I know that this next one is, I shouldn't say I know it's going to be good, but I really hope it's good. And I'm excited for that one for sure.
So I never played the story for GTA 5. I played like a part of it, but during the pandemic, me and 3 of my friends would hop on FaceTime calls, and every single night was one of the things I look forward to. We would do the heists. It was so much fun. There was one in particular where like you were like timed, and it was like involving dump trucks. I don't know if you're familiar. And
I think so.
Yeah. And so one of the dudes was driving, and there was this one part screwing up, and it just took forever. But then there's one heist in particular with helicopters, and it's like you're doing these dog fights and you have to land it perfectly. And I was one of the gunners, and I like messed it up. And I literally, after I went, guys, damn it, I'm sorry, it's my fault. And I was like, I'm done. And it was like everyone busted out laughing because I was basically acting like Will Ferrell and the other guys. It was like I was just like I broke mentally. So fun times. Rylan says, pick one to save you. 2 will attack you. John Wick, Jason Bourne, James Bond.
John Wick to save me. Because and I've had problems with this franchise because of that. He is unstoppable. James Bond at least gets injured. Jason Bourne at least is vulnerable. John Wick is a cheat code. John Wick to save me.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even close. Let's see. David Harbour is indie. I'm rewatching Stranger Things. I'd say in early 2010s, it's hell yeah to that. He plays Hopper in Stranger Things. He has the indie mannerisms. But that being said, I don't think they're ever going to recast Indy. This is the point I wanted to bring up earlier. I wish that we would have I would have watched it too. I know it might have been, wrong, but I would have watched an entire movie of Indy de-aged, filling in the gaps between like an adventure, after The Last Crusade or something.
You know what's funny? Like I remember when like the Mandalorian season 2, the finale, when you see de-aged Luke. Yep. Spoiler alert, I guess.
Damn it! No,
I just realized I'm moving my microphone there. What I realized was I'm going, you know what? That technology, if we're there now, we're going to have a full-blown movie eventually, like episode 4.5. Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, they're all going to be dead in real life. And we're going to, like, if they have the right to use them, there's going to be nothing stopping them. Also, with AI, eventually you're going to be going, I want to see an Indiana Jones sequel taking place in Venezuela, starring David Harbour and Harrison Ford and Sydney Sweeney and this, and I want it to be in the style of Quentin Tarantino. Like that's another thing too. I mean, we can go down a whole rabbit hole about AI, but I mean that's what the whole strike was about. You know what I mean? Like, but I do think that one day we're going to be able to just go like, I want to see a rom-com set in the 1500s with Tom Hanks, make it funny, boom, and the technology will be there.
It's like Back to the Future 2, like when they can just pop in the mini Pizza Hut pizza.
Yeah,
like things like that are just scary to me though, that we could be headed down that path. Man,
be grateful for what you got.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the kind words. Let's see. We'll go for a few more minutes here, so fire off your last minute questions.
Sure.
Hit that like button. And yeah, favorite Cobra Kai season from Star Court Food Court.
I've only seen them all once, but I honestly thought about this. It's like, what would it be like if I went back to rewatch them?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I can do that until I see the final season. And I just feel like it just gets more and more crazy. There's so many different alliance switches.
Oh yeah.
The villain of that show really is Karate, because if any of these characters had the ability to talk out their problems, then we wouldn't even have a show. So I honestly think that the last one I thought was pretty great. I mean, the fact that you have like, I think there's a line in it where Daniel LaRusso goes, "Fucking Mike Barnes." It's like we live in a world where that exists.
Yes, sir.
Like, let's just embrace it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the scene where like they're in like the limo or their party bus and it gets like hijacked.
Mm-hmm.
Like just bring it on. Like I love it. I think the last season was so much fun.
I agree wholeheartedly. Season 5, you had like an episode where everyone's having beef at a water park, and then you've got a samurai fight, basically poolside between Shozen and Terry Silver, like daggers versus samurai sword. You've got Johnny Lawrence, getting his ass kicked, but then he finds like a boost of energy and just goes like John Wick pretty much on someone. I mean, it's just awesome. I loved season 5, and it just gets more and more insane. But to me, this show has had the right to build up to that point because it respects like the legacy of Miyagi and just the OG characters. Yeah. It really does like put an emphasis on the characters. And then it's like our reward as the viewers to get these batshit crazy over the top fights.
And you can tell that the makers of the show are big Karate Kid fans. I was gonna, but then again, J.J. Abrams was a big Star Wars fan, and he made Rise of Skywalker. But Disney and
I was about to say
studio meddling and everything. I think they have a bit more freedom on Cobra Kai.
Yeah, much more so. Let's see. Do you prefer 1917 Dunkirk or Hacksaw Ridge?
1917, and then Hacksaw Ridge. They're pretty close, but I remember being a little underwhelmed by Dunkirk. But it's a movie that I want to watch again and, see if I can actually appreciate it and see what I've been missing.
Dunkirk would be the one I prefer the most of those three. I feel similarly to the way you just described Dunkirk with 1917. I've seen it once, and I was like, I really loved the whole one take, not a gimmick, but the style in which they shot it. And it didn't do it for me. I wasn't able to connect with it as much as I really, really wanted to. Haven't seen it since theaters though. And so I'm like, I'll go back to it one day and hopefully appreciate it more.
Yeah. There was, what's funny, talking about like, I know that you've done videos about like crazy theater experiences. Minor spoiler to 1917, when one of the characters dies midway through the movie, you know the scene I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
With the crash plane. That is very intense. So intense that someone in the theater actually had a seizure because of it.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, we're watching it, and then like I hear like screaming, and they're going like, everyone stop the movie. And I'm going, oh gosh, like what's going on? And some guy had like a full-on seizure because it was that intense. They stopped the movie, the manager came in, he was fine. He like walked out, he looked like white as paper, but he's like being carried out, and then he gives a thumbs up to the theater, and everyone's like clapping, he's okay. And then they start the movie again. We had to watch that scene again, right? They went back like 10 minutes, but like that movie was intense. So, but I also see, I try to see both sides of every single movie. I understand why that movie might not connect as much because it's not really a character movie. I'm not saying that that's why you didn't like it, but I know a lot of people didn't like it because there was no real connection with the main character. He's more of just like he's someone for the camera to focus on. Right? Kind of like how people go like, I don't get why Oppenheimer's so amazing. There's just a bunch of people talking in rooms. It's like, well, yeah, you're right. But I can see way more than that.
Yeah, fair. I would say of the three, Hacksaw Ridge is probably the one that, like, if you had to recommend one of these three movies to someone to watch and like guarantee they would like it, I would say Hacksaw Ridge would be the one.
It's the most Hollywood.
Yeah. It feels like one of those Best Picture winners from like the 90s. Like it has like, it's not Braveheart by any means, but it's similar where it's got those epic war scenes. Yeah. There's a lot of heart, and
same director.
It's like a Saving Private Ryan type movie. Yeah. Yeah. So Mel Gibson, damn, you're right. I totally forget that he directed Hacksaw. You're right.
Yeah. Oh, see, look at this. Can we talk about how overrated Oppenheimer is?
I mean, that's my buddy. Me and him, we rag on each other because I love Oppenheimer. He likes it, but he's not as fond of it. And then he loves Dune 2, and I think it's solid, but we kind of have like a friendly feud over it. So that's funny. But no, I remember, unironically, someone had a review of the movie. Talking Head, who is controversial in the space, and she was basically like, yeah, the movie's just people talking in rooms for 3 hours, and it's like, yeah, it's Grace Randolph, I don't really care.
Oh, yeah.
And it went viral on social media. People were like flaming her. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one. How there's like, I think there's certain YouTubers, I'll just talk about like the movie space, because it happens all the time. Like once you get to a certain point where you're so big, you eventually get to the downfall stage. Like, you know, to quote Green Goblin, in spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you. Like Chris Stuckman got all this hate, and I'm going like, someone asked me, it's like, why does everyone hate Chris Stuckman? And I go, they do? I guess I haven't. And then of course I find out, and then, you know, like Grace Randolph has been like thrown through it. That one I can, again, I don't know her as a human being, but I actually had to unsubscribe from her channel just because I found it to be just, it wasn't entertaining. It was just like, you know, the whole John Campea beef, and I'm like, this is what are we doing here, guys? Like, if you remember that.
I'm kind of out of the loop with all that, but I've just seen her like try and leak stuff, and that's where I was like, leak stuff from like big Marvel movies, like and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then yeah, I know she's kind of a controversial figure in the movie space. I see everyone that I know pretty much from the movie space, or even know of, who I respect, has like quote tweeted her at some point and been like, I disagree strong with this, like the way she goes about things. And I've never even subscribed to her, just to be frank, but
yeah,
I've just seen so many clips where it seems like just desperate attempt to go against the crowd, and it kind of clickbaity in a way, but not necessarily, more so just like rage bait, where it's like saying something to like engagement farming, literally. Like people, you know, will go to TikTok and say like, I hate this, and just do it because they're monetizing their account, so they could get the views. They never interact with any of it.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say to everyone in the chat here, like, I'll just be real. Like, Chris is a good YouTuber because he's not full of shit. I've done a lot of live streams with other YouTubers before. Most of them are great people. Some of them are completely full of shit. And what I mean by this is because I know certain critics out there, and I have proof of this, where they would actually write the review, have the thumbnail, and have everything of whether or not it's a good movie or a bad movie before they see it. And then they see the movie just to fill in certain things.
So you're saying they have like their mind made up on the movie before they even see the movie?
Not just their mind made up. They have the full review written.
The review written before they see the movie?
I'm not even kidding you. They have the review written. And that's absurd. Just like put in like little, like, they have like little sections where they go like, okay, well, maybe I can put a scene in here to make it, you know. And I go, that is I've lost all respect for you that way. And so, guys, everyone who's watching this, Chris is a good YouTuber. Continue to subscribe to him.
Thank you, Brandon.
But just be wary that there are YouTubers out there who are completely pulling your leg. So just beware of that.
That is true with not just movies either.
Yeah.
It's like everything, honestly. But no, Brandon, I appreciate that, man. And if you guys are in here and are not subbed to Brandon, go do it. Him and I met years ago now, and he's a great dude. So it's been good to rekindle on this. So I appreciate that. But no, we'll take 2 more questions. 2. 2. Let's make them good ones. It could be food related. It doesn't even have to be movie related. It can be theme park related. I know Brandon's a big Disney guy.
I'm wearing the Disneyland shirt right now.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. But no, let's see. Looking through the chat here.
I think LJW Events had a good one about Jurassic Park.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it was two or 3 back from Star
right here.
Court. Yeah, I think that was the one. I think that was a good one.
Okay, like what Brandon said before, people hate half the Jurassic films because of bad story, but we see them for the dinosaurs fighting and killing. Your thoughts? this is tough for me because on the one hand, yeah, dinosaurs sell tickets. It's like the Monsterverse movies, like Godzilla and Kong get butts and seats, but the first Jurassic Park film excels because we care about the characters. So it's like I think there's a good balance there. A movie recently that did that was Godzilla -1. And I don't know if you saw that one or not, but I thought
haven't yet.
Okay. Well, I thought that it did a fantastic job of balancing spectacle with a low budget, mind you, with characters. It made us feel for them to the point where, like, on edge, your palms swing, like, are they going to get out of the situation? Are they going to be able to take down Godzilla? What's going on? Damn good underdog story. I just got chills thinking about a scene from that movie. I want to watch it again soon. But that's the kind of movie that's like a blockbuster. The Jurassic film, like there's certain instances where franchises damn near sell out. Like Jurassic World, I thought was a fine. It was fine. By the time we got to Dominion, though, I was like, this feels like a big FU to the fans. They don't care about anything. There's locusts, these massive locusts flying around. They really remake the Jurassic shot. It's like, it's kind of insulting, actually. And so, yes, dinosaurs sell tickets. Yes, adventure sells tickets. But I do think there's got to be some character depth there, too.
Yeah, because, like, that's a good point about, like, franchises sell out. And, you know, it's more prevalent today than ever. And, you know, like when people say the term cash grab, I understand what people mean by that. To them, I also say, like, but you have to understand what system is making it. They call it show business. Business means, at least in a capitalistic society, means making profit. They're not going to make the movie unless they think that they're going to make a profit. How do you make a profit? You need to market it well. How do you market it well? Well, oh, Indiana Jones. People know what that is. They immediately, oh, Jurassic Park. I know what that is. I'll go see another one. People will definitely see, or more inclined to see, a 7th or 8th Jurassic Park movie than a completely original new idea. Because it's familiar. Why do you think McDonald's is like the most successful fast food chain? No matter where you go in the world, you know what you're going to get. And people like the familiar. But people, because of this chase for money, I think a lot of artistic liberties are allowed to happen. Yeah, and they sell out. And, you know, and not to go like too deep into this, I think it kind of goes in waves. And like when you think of like music and you think of like pop culture, like in the 80s, it was very commercial, very neon colors, very bright, and, you know, franchises, very, you know, exciting movies, Back to the Future. And then when you kind of go into the 90s, you hit grunge music. It's kind of like an anti, you know, version of that. And then in the 2000s, like pop culture definitely mimics how people are feeling at the time. So like in the 2000s, you had like 9/11, you know, morale was low and people were just hoping for something different and new and something to uplift us. So we got movies like Shrek, like the anti-Disney, like what the heck is this? It's an ogre. Like, let's do it. Let's make a movie about Pirates of the Caribbean. What? Oh, these are successful. Okay, let's do more. Let's do more. Avengers ends up working out. Every movie has to have a cinematic universe. Now that that's kind of dying out, what's the next thing? Hollywood's trying to figure that out. So, yeah, and that's the thing. I think more people will be like, oh, well, I want to see some dinosaurs fight each other. Sure, I'll pay for my ticket. And you can complain about quality all you want, but that's what they want. They want butts and seats. And yeah, the first Jurassic Park movie, I think, is a great movie that happens to have dinosaurs in it. And Jurassic World Dominion is a dinosaur movie. You know what I mean? That comes first.
Yes.
And then is it good or is it bad? Who cares? It's about dinosaurs.
Borderline a Locusts movie.
Yeah, that one was odd.
But no, yeah. That's I get what you're saying for sure. I saw some really good ones in here. Gavin says most overrated Disney park ride.
Is Small World is overrated? I think most people are kind of like,
I think that's like the consensus in my opinion. Like I think it's overrated, but I have a very hot take.
Go for it.
Gets me in trouble with the Disney folks. Not gonna lie.
Is this Disney World in Florida?
Disney World. Disney World. I think and people have called me crazy. You could, and that's totally fine. Please call me crazy if you disagree. Have you been to Animal Kingdom, Brandon?
Yes.
Have you been to Pandora?
Yes.
Have you ridden Flight of Passage?
Yes.
I think Flight of Passage is the most overrated ride.
It
Arguably in the
sucks.
4 parks. You think
It sucks.
Because people have told me.
Oh my god, there's
like,
this vibrating thing between my legs. I mean,
it's so relieving to hear this, dude.
Guys, if you want something vibrating between your legs, there's some place you can go. It's a lot less money than Disney World.
Dude, let me tell you.
Joking aside, though, I mean, it doesn't suck. It's okay. But I wasn't like...
It's a glorified Soarin'.
Yeah.
And people try to tell me, like, people are like, oh my god, I cried riding that because it was like this transcendent experience. Like, they saw heaven. I was like, it's a screen. Like, I'm way more of like a physical coaster person. Like Everest, I think, is the better. Expedition Everest is the better ride at the park, or something like Hagrid's that like blends the story with the animatronics, with the surprises. Those are the rides I go to. This, you're sitting, and yeah, it's like, oh, it feels like one of these things is breathing on you, but I think it's wildly overhyped. That's my hot take. People usually are like, dude, you're crazy.
I agree.
So, that was funny.
Yeah, no, it's not amazing by any means. It's funny because like you've been to both parks. I find that in Disneyland, because there's little space, they're more inclined to take a ride out and put a better ride in. There's no reason why the Country Bear Jamboree should still exist at Walt Disney World. That is like how much cocaine were they snorting making that?
There's some crazy stuff in the Disney parks, like what's it called? Well, first of all, you got the Hall of Presidents, but like Figment at Epcot, I've never done it, but I've seen like videos from it. It's become like a meme. Just weird, very bizarre.
It sucks. People who like it are lying to themselves because they like that mascot. Good looking mascot, no problem. Kind of like that dinosaur at the restaurant in Tomorrowland.
Oh yeah.
Whatever, like a space cafe or whatever.
Oh yeah, Rays, Cosmic Rays.
Cosmic Rays. Okay, cool design. The ride sucks, people. And people who ride it will even say, well, it's not the best, but like it's a different opinion. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Man. Yeah. No, I love the Disney question though. Movie fan 2002, what's your favorite lightsaber fight in all of Star Wars? Pressure's on.
You know what? Okay, quick question.
Okay.
Have you seen I forget who made it. Someone made a fan edit of the Obi-Wan show. They edited it down to a 2.5-hour movie. And I watched it, and they put a lot more John Williams music in there. And it really works.
Okay.
And they put that final fight between Vader and Obi-Wan with Duel of the Fates. And we've been burned with Rise of Skywalker. We've been burned with Last Jedi. And like Star Wars is now that franchise that we liked as kids. We still can appreciate it, but it's, that score hasn't like given me chills. I just got chills just talking about it. But they play Duel of the Fates when they're doing. I was like, I'm getting chills doing that. Like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. It totally works when like and then all the rocks rise, and it's like it works so perfecly.
I may need you to send me that so that I can have some positivity around the show, because I was very down on Obi-Wan.
I'll write it down to remind myself, but I'll try to find it. It's like it's tough because you got to get like a Google Drive download or whatever. But 2.5 hour.
But no, yeah, I like I was so incredibly hyped for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I watch it and I go, what the hell are we doing with the young Leia story? What the hell are we doing with Reva? This show, and I forget how you feel about Obi-Wan, by the way. So if I'm shitting on it and you love it, I apologize. But I
liked it for what it was.
Okay, fair. I don't understand how you can screw up such a simple concept. This show need 2 characters: Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah,
it could have literally just been borderline no dialogue. Like, I would have watched it with just Obi-Wan going through the desert and having visions. Like, you could do flashbacks, kind of like how they inserted that flashback of him teaching Anakin, and that could correlate to some obstacle Obi-Wan's facing, and it could be Vader just on like a manhunt for him. That's what I wish it would have been. But We got everything else. Hello,
Wants to say
Roger.
hi. Wants to say
hi. Such a cute kitty.
What do you think of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show? It's disappointing, isn't it? Those Disney assholes are back at it again.
That's great.
Yeah. It's some parts are cool, some parts are pretty lame. Like that. Red Letter Media says that Mary-Kate and Ashley chase when Leia's running away from the guards.
Oh yeah,
it's like, oh boy.
But no, to answer the question, I think my favorite lightsaber fight is
Return of the Jedi for me, for story. Phantom Menace though is pretty good.
I mean, the stereotypical answer would be, Mustafar, Obi-Wan, Anakin. Love it a lot, and it's probably my favorite. But at the same time, I do find myself, and this is more of a recent take, but I do really love Vader versus Luke on Bespin, Cloud City. Like the end, it's slower, and it's more so a taunt. Vader sort of taunting Luke, but that's great. It's great.
One of my favorite lines in Star Wars is, "The Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you are not a Jedi yet." Oh, so good.
I had a piggy bank as a kid, and it was Vader, and if you hit a button, it would say different lines, and that was one of them. And Empire's all-time stuff.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
All right, we'll speed round a few more of these because we got a few more questions, and then we'll end it up. We'll end it up in about 4 minutes, go an hour and a half.
All right, speed round. Let's go.
Speed round. Here we go. Let me find where I start. Favorite food at Disneyland? Churro. Yeah, easy. IDK what to watch. Shout out Maggie. Thoughts on Emma Stone's Oscar win?
Haven't seen Poor Things yet, but lovely speech. She seems like a very genuine person.
I couldn't finish Poor Things, and that's a really hot take. I got 40 minutes in and I turned it off. But regardless, she's probably deserving. I mean, it was one of the most unique performances I'd seen in a film, so I guess credits due.
There you
go. Favorite
world?
Walt Disney World. Walt Disney. That's funny.
Wow ride.
Favorite Walt Disney World ride.
Oh geez, Aerosmith, but they're getting rid of it for Queen now, I've heard.
See, I've heard so many rumors about that ride my whole life. I heard one point, this was years ago, I was like 10. People were like, "Oh, they're gonna do Hannah Montana, man. It's for sure happening." I was like, "No way!" Like people told me straight faced, "Hannah Montana's coming, bro."
Oh like, man, okay. Could you imagine? Who's getting fired by doing that? Oh man, no. Rise of Resistance is good. I mean, it's the same in Disneyland. Yeah, I'll go with that one.
I'd say Expedition Everest is up there for me.
Yeah.
Tower of Terror is up there for me. Just the story, the atmosphere of it all. And Splash Mountain was like my favorite growing up. Obviously, that's no more, but I'm curious to see.
Splash Mountain is better in Disney World than it is in Disneyland.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. You've got the 2-seater logs. It's longer.
And you don't get as wet.
Yeah,
in Disneyland,
drenched.
Yeah. In Disneyland, you don't wear your shoes. Your shoes will get ruined on the Disneyland one.
And I've done that ride twice in my life because I've been to Disneyland twice at Disneyland, Splash Mountain. There's that one point, the dark drop, it's like to the laughing place, and you go whoop, and when you shoot up, I swear to God, the log goes under the water. Like it's disgusting. There's like a puddle at the bottom of the log. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah. Although the Cali River Rapids, when I was there last time in Disney World, I think you'd be less wet if you just jumped in. You just jumped in the water.
One time on that one, I got screwed. I got like, how the water will shoot up, like I got like right there, and then the drop too. I got the whole thing. So. And I was wearing a white shirt, I'm pretty sure too. So bummer. Have you ever been to Universal?
Escape from Gringotts.
That's a great pick right there. I really dig that. I'm gonna say from Islands of Adventure, Hagrid's. Hagrid's is my jam.
Didn't get to go on that one. It broke down, and then when it opened up, it was like 2.5 hours, and it would break down again. So I missed it. So
it's arguably my favorite ride, period, ever.
Oh, really?
I think actually comfortable enough to say that is my favorite roller coaster / ride. It is the perfect blend of thrills, surprises, story, animatronics, the queue. I mean, it is perfect to me.
Nice. I got to go on that one.
Let's see. Leave Country Bears alone. That's fine.
It sucks.
Have you done Tron yet? No.
No, not yet. Soon.
I would love to. And then happy birthday shout out.
Happy birthday.
Obi-Wan v. Anakin's a masterpiece. Hard to argue with that. I loved that duel.
Stop.
Hannah Montana, The Ride. Favorites, Rise of Resistance. Let's see. And then the last one from Jason says, suppose there was an amusement park where the dangerous dinosaurs escape and another amusement park where robots malfunction and start killing the guests. Which one would you rather face? So which survival scenario would you rather be in?
Robots, because they could turn them off. Dinosaurs, you'd have to kill them.
Yep. And you're not doing that. So you could maybe escape, but I'd rather be going against robots. I feel like you could maybe take a robot down if you got the technology, the brains. Yeah. You could maybe even smash a robot. You can't smash a dinosaur. So
yeah, no, you're screwed against Jurassic Park.
So that was a nice little theme park kick to sort of end out the stream, but that'll do it for this live Q&A/Hangout. Thank you all so much for joining. Brandon, a pleasure as always, man. Yes. Damn good to reconnect. We should do this more.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely.
And before we get out of here, you can let the people know where they can find you on all the socials.
Yes. So it's at BrandoCritic on YouTube. Last year, and years prior, I'd be reviewing like every new release every single week. Nowadays, it's, like the big release that I want to talk about. Occasionally I'll throw in a classic movie now. And I'm working on my very first video essay. I've been working on it for like 2 months. It's almost done. And we covered a lot of the topics in this live stream, so I really hope that you guys check that out.
Go check it out when it drops, guys.
It's gonna be a doozy. So that's where you can really find me. I mean, I have Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and everything, but YouTube is the main source of the content.
Very nice. Yeah. Well, Brandon, pleasure as always. Again, all of his links are down below. That goes for Letterboxd, all that stuff. So yes, go follow him, subscribe to his channel. He's the man. But yeah, thank you guys for joining in here live. If you're here on the replay, thank you. Hit that like button, helps out quite a bit. But if you sent a comment in, if you sent a super chat, if you liked, if you just silently watched, it really does mean a lot. But that'll do it for this live Q&A. Stay tuned for more content coming very soon. And until next time, see you guys later.